Good day, Ma'am Flora Ogis. Good day, everyone. So, I am Torion Jerome C, reporter of the Group 3 for the finals. So, our topic is entrepreneurial goals and aspiration. So, most entrepreneurship researchers measure the success of firms by examining observable events in the firm's history, such as survival, exit, and growth of the firm. So, survival is how the company survive as it is going in the business world. So, exit, so how the business exit or get rid in the business world, and growth of the firm is how the firm growing or how it becomes success as it is doing in the business world. So one way of bridging the gap if continuous is the work to analyze non-pecuniary motivation or be my boss. So non-pecuniary motivation is without involving money. So motivation without involving money for starting business that have witnessed a surge of influential activity within the economic literature. So there are reasons for deciding to start a business. So 1K of longitudinal data on entrepreneurial motivation is studied by the Panel Survey of Entrepreneurial Dynamics or PSED. So according to Hearst and Pugsley 2011, they organized 44 motivation that is classified into 5. So first is non-monetary reason. So reason without the use of money or without monetary. So next is to generate income. So another reason for starting a business is to generate income. So and to realize a good business idea. So as they decide to start a business, so they must realize a good business idea. Then lack of options and others. So the authors discovered that the huge majority of small commercial enterprises do not intend to innovate or expand their operation, but are instead content to stay at their current size and range. So there are some business that they are just content for their business. So he does not want to innovate or expand their operations. So in addition, they found that non-monetary motives are the most frequent factors in the creation of the business. So by that, so they found, according to their survey, they found that the most frequent factor used in some business is non-monetary motives or motives of without gaining money or etc. So as starting a business, so there are entrepreneurial goals. So entrepreneurs are driven by pecuniary versus non-pecuniary benefits, often have drastically different ends for their company. So pecuniary is money or monetary, and non-pecuniary is vice versa for pecuniary or without usage of money. So Harris and Pugsley 2011 found that most entrepreneurs being ridden by non-pecuniary benefits. So according to Harris and Pugsley, they are rid by non-pecuniary or without use of money. So have little intention to innovate or expand their market share, or they have no encourage to innovate or take innovation. So another reason is found in the study of Hamilton 2000. Entrepreneurs have both lower initial earnings and lower earnings growth than in paid employment. So with a median earnings differential of 35% for individuals in a business for 10 years, so there are 35% of median differential. So similarly to Hamilton, Moskowitz and Wissing Jorgensen 2002 found that investment in private business extremely concentrated, so and non-diverse. So they focus on one product or and non-diversified, or they are no various aspects of or products. So yet returns to private equity are no higher than the returns to public equity. So private equity have higher income than lower income than the private equity. So these influential studies underline the conventional idea that entrepreneurs sacrifice their income to become entrepreneurs. So they're not gaining for money, so they just sacrifice for their income just to become entrepreneurs only. So showing that non-monetary incentives need to be present as well. So as what I've said, they are not for money. The literature on entrepreneurial finance is now questioning whether entrepreneurs earn less than paid in advance. So that is the entrepreneurial goals. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. By the way, this video is it's all about continuation about entrepreneurial goals. In 2014, Katsanova visited the puzzle of the risk capital of Permians and finds that sensitive to the periods used by Moskowitz and Vicini Jorgensen in 2002. As a result, the literature on the entrepreneurial finance is now questioning whether the entrepreneurs earn less than those paid in advance. This does not blot out the bird fact that non-monetary reasons, including the desire for automatic and self-fulfillment, are now accepted to be an inbuilt component of many choice to create a new job and thus measured of venture returns or grow. Many wrongly measure the truth returns that impact to the research subject for many years to come. As a result of literature is increasingly classifying, there are two major types of entrepreneur. First, the growth motivated entrepreneurs looking for opportunities, and two, innovation and necessity driven the entrepreneurs opening up a new business when options are thin. Gruji in 2010 further described this partition is a critique of the entrepreneurship and development, the literature. The realization of this heterogeneity is an important progress as this distinction of entrepreneur. Heterogeneity are a paramount to understand the entrepreneurial goals and their function in their regulating the economic system. Much much research is being done particularly industry where a non-monetary motivation defined as entrepreneurial goals. For example, Verjovic in 2005 found that the goals and attitude of entrepreneurs and determines of strategic and entrepreneurial behavior, entrepreneurial competence, and industrial goals, such as having a large of modern firm to correlate to sales and score success and larger. From size and non-personary goals explain much of the variation in the statistification in Santos Ruggiero and Gonzalez Vintilio in 2002. Conducted by 85 in-depth interviews and learned that the objectives of the substance business are highly influenced by socio-cultural attributions such as a family values and goals and motivation to study and stay in the business. In every different settings, Reginunen and Romicolia in 2017 show in the two micro business in the craft and the rural tourism industries how the entrepreneurial measure their performance by non-personary criteria and find the success job satisfaction and satisfied customer. And then Harbour and Rachel in 2025 identified the similar performance measure of the small ventures. in the tourism industry of Israel. In their study, the most important subject of performance is measured. Measured to include the perceived the customer satisfaction and the perceived the probability to relative to competitors while the key object is performance measure and related to the firm growth and employment and revenue. That's all. Thank you.
An entrepreneur is an individual who creates an idea for a new business. They may design an innovative product, service, or organization, and they often to have a primary control over the business operations. Some researchers use gender to entrepreneurial goals. Just 2 et al. 2006 collected data from 1,236 contractors in the 2005 GYM survey to compose gender and parental status and intrinsic and independent measures of success. Intrinsic measures of success are generally more appreciated by adult females, while independence measures of success are valued equally by men and women. Butner and Mori in 1997 differentiated between corporate climbers who emphasize gaining managerial experience from international entrepreneurs who emphasize the importance of technological competence. While goals for entering entrepreneurship and starting a business are considered on a personal level, such as generating profit or relating autonomy. There is a little academic examination into self-determined standards of success for ventures. Large-scale surveys have not, to our knowledge, asked whether an entrepreneur's individual goal for the venture to accomplish a public offering, grow the venture until acquisition by another firm. Time. This entrepreneurial decision shape of the entrepreneurial and these goals is vital for venture success. Once you define the type of business you want to start, you can begin creating a list of goals. Try to make each goal actionable, specific, and realistic. The goals you choose can differ depending what your business venture. For example, if you are starting a sales company, you might set a goal to sell 100 items in our first month. All the same, the survey finds that the parental status alters women's notions of success, with the independence measures of success overcoming intrinsic measure of success among adult females with dependent kids. This is not the case for men who have dependent children. In interviews with 1,200 successful women entrepreneurs,
Good morning, classmates. Good morning, ma'am. This is my report about entrepreneurial success. Entrepreneurial success is the individual entrepreneur's distinct understanding and appraisal of the accomplishment of standards that are personally crucial to him or her. At the individual level, the term entrepreneurial mindset initially came from behavioral sciences through research within the field of personality, cognitive and social psychology. There are multiple definitions of entrepreneurial mindset that exist requiring a combined or synthesized definition. There are also several themes that characterize the entrepreneurial mindset found in the literature. Alan Gray Orbe's foundation tried to focus on the cultivation and development of an entrepreneurial mindset. However, there was a lack of rigorous theorization and empirical evidence of the term. In response to this, Orbis Foundation, in collaboration with the Global Entrepreneurship Research Network, or GERN, in 2016 hopes to achieve the following. First, development of a shared understanding of entrepreneurial mindset. Second, the development of a universal methodology for measuring entrepreneurial mindset. And the last, the development of an evidence-based approach for enhancing entrepreneurial mindset education theory and practice. At this juncture, a rather simple model provides meaningful relation between big five traits: knowledge, experience, competence, and entrepreneurial success. Each of these factors need to be an entrepreneurial specific domain rather than general. Based on Orbis Journ definitions, the equation below expresses entrepreneurial success as the sum of four broad dimensions in addition to the big five as shown below. Where ES, it means entrepreneurial success. K, knowledge. E, experience. S, self-efficacy. P, big five personality. Each factor is measured in ordinal scales and expressed as average percentage shown in the equation below. In log linear form, log ES equals W log K plus X log E plus Y log S plus Z log E, or its multiplicative equivalent form E1 equals AK equals E1 is 4P equals. The additive feature of the equations assumes each factor changes at a constant rate over time, suggestive of a linear model. Several theories support the linear assumption of knowledge, experience, and self-belief. Although some studies hypothesize the personality factor is fairly stable during adulthood, other studies revealed that it changes with age. The theory of the learning curve is one example describing factor variation through time. Knowledge represents theory as the accumulation of information or ideas, while experience represents practice or application of knowledge over time. Knowledge increases with experience according to experiential learning by Cole 1984, along with constructivist theory of DeWitt 1916 and Jean Piaget 1936. Knowledge is more theoretical, but its application is concrete. Concrete experience provides information that serves as a basis for reflection. This reflection, the form of knowledge. Hence, teaching or instruction provides the foundation for practice or experience. They are separate but mutually related. On the other hand, or service through vicarious. Experience of success, Bandora 1977, though small but nonetheless exert strong influence to motivation to continue learning and making progress. In addition, researchers believe that once established, personality generally remains stable throughout lifetime. However, newer research suggests that is not always the case. The findings suggest that personality is not fixed at the age 30. Instead, it continues to change with the exact pattern to change depending on the trait. This researcher found that conscientiousness and agreeableness increase throughout early and middle adulthood at varying rates. Neuroticism declined among women but did not change among men. Moreover, research has suggested that Big Five traits evolve with age over the lifespan. In an analysis of 92 longitudinal studies, it was found that people became more conscientious, less neurotic, and increased in social dominance. A phases of extroversion as they get older. People also became more agreeable in old age. Although adolescents were more open to experience and demonstrated greater social vitality, another facet of extroversion, especially during the college years. People decrease in this trait during old age. Moreover, conscientiousness, emotional stability, openness, and extroversion have consistently positive association with all aspects of transition of success above and beyond the effects of other factors.
Good day. This is the continuation of the last discussion. So my assigned topic is the entrepreneurial determinants. So we talk this about the category of determinants, the definition, and the data sources. First is the regulatory framework and the administrative burdens, the entry and the growth. So, the burden of the government regulation. So, this is the survey responses to the question of the businesses complying with the administrative requirements, permits, regulations, and the reporting and the data sources of this are the World Economic, and the sources of this is the World Economic Forum, Global Competitiveness, and the report. Next is the cost required for starting a business. So this is the official cost of each procedure and a percentage of the gross national income or the GNI per capita. Next is the minimum capital required for starting a business. So this is the paid-in minimum of capital requirement that entrepreneur needs to deposit in a bank before registration of the business. Next is the number of days for starting a business. So the average time recorded in calendar days. So this is to spend during each enterprise and startup procedure. Next is the number of procedures for starting a business. All generic procedures that are officially required to register a firm. Next is the procedures, time, and cost to build our house. So this is the corresponds to an coverage of the three measurements. First is the official time spent during each procedure. Second is the official cost of each procedure. The third is the number of procedure to build our house. Next is the Building Quality Control Index. So the indicator is based on 6 other indices that quality of building regulation. Next is the registering properly. So this is the corresponds to an average of the three measurements. Next is the index of the quality of the land administration system. The index ranged from 0 to 30 with higher value indicating better quality of the land administration system. And the next is the time for paying taxes. So this is time is measured in hours per year. The next category is the bankruptcy regulations. So the cost average and cost of bankruptcy proceedings. The cost of the proceedings is recorded as a percentage of the estate value. Next is the time average duration of bankruptcy proceedings. So time is recorded in calendar days or the calendar years. Next is the recovery rate. The recovery rate calculates how many cents of the dollars secured are creditors' recovery from an insolvent firm at the end of proceedings. Next category is the court and legal framework. So enforcing contracts, cost and percent of claim. This is a 3 types of costs are recorded: court cost, enforcement cost, and average authority fees. Next is enforcing contract time. So this is recorded in calendar days counted from the moment and plaintiff files to lawsuits in court until the payment. Next is the enforcing contract quality of judicial processes. So this is the quality of the judicial processes. Index measures whether each economic as adapted. So the next category is the product and the labor market regulations. So the difficulty of hiring. It measures whether laws or other regulations have implicators for the difficulties of hiring a standard worker in a standard company. Next is the ease of hiring foreign labor. So to survey responses to a question related to labor market efficiency. And the next is rigidity of hours index. So the indicator of an index with 7 components, the most important beings. So next is the quality job or the job quality, whether the law mandates equal remuneration for work of the equal value. So the next category is the income taxes with and biggest taxes. So this is the average income tax plus social contribution. So the average rate of taxation is in percentage of the gross wage. So the data sources of this is the OECD revenue statistic. So the next is the highest marginal income tax plus social contribution. So this is the highest taxation in percentage of the gross wage. So next is the revenue from biggest tax. So this is the revenue from the biggest is tax as a percent of GOP. And the next is revenue from the net with tax. The revenue from net with tax as percent of GOP2. And the next category is the business and capital taxes. So the taxation of corporate income revenue. So the revenue from corporate income tax as percentage of GDP. Next is the taxation of stock options. So that's the average tax which for purchase the newly listed stocks. So the last category is the patent system standard. So this is the intellectual property protection. So the survey responses to the question in your country and now strong to the protection of intellectual property, including the many ways. So the last is the property rights. So the survey responses to the question property rights, including over financial assets.
So I am Nalmijin Peterfield. So this is the continuation of Listening report. Hi. My topic is all about the market conditions. So access to foreign markets, trading across borders. So the main is the indicator is an index composed of 2 components. So these are time in days to comply with all procedures required to import or export goods. Second is the cost associated with all procedures required to import or export goods. Next is the barriers to trade and investment. So this indicator measures explicit barriers and other barriers to trade and investment. So it is based on qualitative information on laws and regulations collected by periodically and turned into quantitative indicators. So next is service trade restrictiveness. So the indicator is calculated on the basis of regulatory database of comparable, standardized information on trade and investment relevant policies enforced in each country. Next is degree of public involvement. So government enterprises and investment data reflect the number, composition, and share of output supplied by state-operated enterprises or SOEs, and government investment as a share of total investment. Next is using restrictions. So 0 to 10 ratings are constructed for. First is the time cost, measured in number of calendar days required to obtain a license. And second is the monetary cost of obtaining the license, measured as a share of per capita income. So these two ratings are then averaged to arrive to the final rating. So next is private demand. So buyer sophistication. Survey responses to purchasing decisions are 1 equals based solely on the lowest price, and 7 equals based on the sophisticated analysis of performance. So that's all. This is my topic. Thank you.
Now let's continue the report of Nilmijin Toripel. Access to finance. Access to finance, the financing. Country credit rating. The indicator of this based on an assessment by the Institutional Investor Magazine ranking. IMD World Competitiveness Yearbook. Next is domestic credit to private sector. The indicator refers to the financial resources provided to the private sector, such as through loans, purchase of non-equity securities and trade credits, and other accounts receivable that establish a claim for repayment. Data are from IMF, International Financial Statistics. And next is ease of access to loan. Survey response to how easy it is to obtain bank loan in your country with only a good business plan and no collateral. Next is interest rate spread. The lending rate minus deposit rate based on average of annual rates of each country. Next is legal rights index. The degree to which collateral and bankruptcy laws facilitate lending. Higher scores indicating the collateral and bankruptcy laws are better designed to expand access to credit. And next is share of SME. Specific definition are implemented by the countries covered in scoreboard. Next is the access to venture capital. The venture capital survey responds to how easy it is for entrepreneurs with innovative but risky projects to find venture capital in your country. Muna siya ang capital, di rin nagsugod ang capital. Next is private equity investment. Private venture capital. Private equity investment. So diri ka magkuha og imong kagalingong kwarta gikan sa imong bulsa. Next is stock market. Capitalization of primary stock market. The capitalization of the primary stock market, the value of the issued shares on the market relative to GDP. Kani siya sa mga lower price rin siya nga dapit sa mga paritunon. Ang second is capitalization of secondary stock. An assessment of the efficiency of stock market providing finance to companies. Kani siya nga kuan pang-export ni siya sa mga ipatos kumpanya para ilang i-deliver sa lain-lain nga dapit. Next is investor protection. The main indicators include transparency of transaction, extent of disclosure index, liability for self-dealing, extent of director liability index, shareholders' ability to show officers and directors for misconduct, is of shareholder suit index, strength of investor protection index, the average of the three index. Ang ano siya, mao ni siya ang diin gikan giprotektahan ng usa ka investor sa pag-transport sa ilahang baligya through other countries. Then sila pod ang nag-share sa mga mopalit sa mga kusog nga demand. Next is market capitalization of newly listed companies. The market capitalization, total number new shares issued multiplied by their value on the first day of quotation of newly listed domestic shares relative to GDP. Now kani siya ang naabot na ni siya nga sa mga na-deliver nga mga goods sa companies sa anang adlaw o pila ilang na record.
Linda Evangelista, and this is the continuation report of Jerome Vicente. So, number 4, creation and diffusion of knowledge. R&D activity, business expenditure on R&D or GERD. Business enterprise on R&D or GERD at current prices and PPS. Gross domestic expenditure on R&D or GERD. Gross domestic expenditures on R&D covers total intramural expenditure on the national territory during a given period. Higher education expenditures on R&D or HERD. Higher education expenditure on R&D or HERD at 2010 prices and PPS. International cooperation between patent applications and at PCT. So the indicator measures international cooperation between patent applications under the Patent Cooperation Treaty or PCT. The measure is calculated as a percentage of total patients by application date. So number 5, entrepreneurial capabilities. Entrepreneurship education. Population with tertiary education, the share of persons between 25 to 34 of age with tertiary education including doctoral education are equivalent. Quality of management schools. Survey responses to the quality of business schools across countries is 1 equals extremely poor, among the worst in the world. 7 equals excellent, among the best in the world. Training in starting a business. So kanang mag-train sila kung kanus mag-una og kanang magkan-og kanang business. The percentage of the population age to 18 to 64 that receive training in starting a business during the school or after school. So may kuno ni ang para mag-una og magsugod sa business ang 18 or 64 after school. A global perspective on entrepreneurship education and training on 2008. Migration, migrants with tertiary education. This means the share of highly skilled as a percentage of total migrants. And that's all.
This is the continuation of report of Rosalinda. Entrepreneurship culture. High status successful entrepreneurship. Percentage of 1864 population who agree with the statement that in their countries successful entrepreneurs receive high status. Global Entrepreneurship Monitor or GIM. Entrepreneurial intention. The percentage of 1864 population individuals involved in any stage of entrepreneurial activity excluded who intend to start a business within 3 years. Global Entrepreneurship Monitor. Desirability of becoming self-employed. Survey responses to desire to become self-employed within the next 5 years. This question is asked only to non-self-employed individuals. European Commission plus Eurobarometer.
Go.
Opinion about entrepreneurs. Survey responses to overall opinion about entrepreneurs, self-employed business owners. European Commission's plus Eurobarometer. Fear of failure. Percentage of 1864 population who perceives good opportunities but who indicates that fear of failure would prevent them from setting up a business. Global Entrepreneurship Monitor. Patents awarded. Number of patents awarded to inventors based on their residence. The indicators is a sum of patents awarded by the European Patent Office or EPO and US Patent and Trademark Office USPTO. Cooperation among firms. SMS operating with other firms for innovation. Share of innovative SMS stating any type cooperation as the source of innovation. National Innovation Service. Technology availability and take-up. Turnover from commerce. Total internet sales over the last calendar year is excluding but as a percentage of total turnover. Enterprises using a government. The share of enterprises using any government services. The measure is based on all firms who with 10 employees or more excluding the financial sector. Information Society Statistics. ICT expenditure. Expenditure for ICT equipment, software, and services as a percentage of GDP. European Information Technology Observatory or AITO. ICT expenditure in communications. Expenditure for telecommunications and carrier services as a percentage of GDP. European Information Technology Observation. Risk for business failure. Survey responses for being willing to start a business if a risk exists that it might fail. European Commission plus Eurobarometer. Second chance of entrepreneurs. Survey responses for people who have started their own business and have failed should be given a second chance. European Commission plus Eurobarometer. Thank you.